Well, I can tell you the state of the local music scene is in pretty good health, at least musically, judging by that performance. That was the opening performance of the music festival here with Terminal Mind. There are a few people, I would say, perhaps none, that know that are more plugged into the music scene here in Austin than Don Pitts. He's the founder of music consultancy Sound Music Cities. Don, we heard there one band, one musician saying that perhaps there's a little bit too much now in South by Southwest and that the attention is maybe being diverted away from the musicians. And we're in this age now where there's more and more opportunities to get your music out there, but it seems to get harder and harder financially for bands to make it.
Well, I think the success of South by, that it's still going, is the integration of tech and film. I think he has a very good point, but I think it's also indicative to what the music industry we have today. The technology disrupted it, and I think South by is very indicative in the sense that you're competing with Netflix.
Yeah, you can't talk about music and not talk about tech.
Yes, yeah, it's very, and I think, like I said, I think it's just the success of the festival. Is that they replicated the trend in the industry, and it's coming for a time.
The music's huge in-depth study of the music scene in Austin. Some of the figures in there I found fascinating, that there are musicians who are some of them earning as little as $15,000 a year.
Yes.
That it's getting harder, essentially, for them to make it financially. How can they, in this day and age, these local bands from all over the world that come here, how can they actually make it?
Well, that's a good question. It's a question that we get from multiple cities that we work with on a regular basis, and the data that we're getting shows the census, most of the musicians that were making the less than $10,000 only picked one revenue stream, and that's live music. And we know that the declining cover charges and just people are not paying for live music at the venues anymore. I'm working on another project right now where we've identified 274 ways for independent artists to make money.
That's enormous. 274 different ways
to make money. And I think the frustration when I was at the City of Austin and leading our music initiatives, there is a huge disconnect in the knowledge sharing that we're teaching our musicians. That we're not teaching them today's music industry. We're teaching them the industry of 2-3 decades ago.
So we're talking about people who got a record deal and thought, well, yes, that's it now. I've made it.
Yes. And then the idea of bands coming to South by Southwest and getting a record deal, is so like 1980s. I think bands coming to South by and getting discovered by, music supervisors for films and TV shows, and other various deals is where it's at. So.
Lots of cities around the world look at Austin in this festival that has this global reputation and look for ways to kind of replicate that. You've talked to some of these cities from around the world. What do you kind of tell them about how to do this?
You can't really design it. I think Austin, we just got lucky. It was just the perfect storm. We like to say that, people, the music scene actually created kind of organically here, cold beer, cheap rent, and,
rock and roll.
Yeah, and I think South by, and when I started with the city, my first South by with the city for 8 years ago, it was ran by about 12 of us, on a text string, the police chief and the fire chief and a couple of people from transportation, and we were just...
that seems pretty low tech, considering.
Very low tech, and I think South by, to South by's credit, they, I think, helped Austin be a better city in hosting this event. They brought in crowd psychologists from the UK and really educated us as the city,
So there are some lessons to be learned. We'll have to leave it there. Don Pitts from Sound Music Cities, thanks so much for talking to us.